Today we're going to be going through kind of the very basics of technical drawing and orthographic views, as well as all of the features of a mechanical/technical drawing. First of all, I just want to explain exactly what an orthographic view is. It is basically changing an isometric view, which you see here, into its 2D features or 2D projections, which are what you see here. In this, we just have a top, front and side view, and you see that via third angle projection. Third angle projection is represented by this little symbol here, which basically tells you that you're going to see the front of the object, and then projected to the side will be the right hand side, aka the front and then the right hand side. Therefore you'll then have a top view. You always want to include this little symbol within your title block, or just to the left of it if you've just got a title block which is about this size. Just so that even if you are sending this overseas to somewhere which does not usually use third angle projection drawings, they will still be able to read it very clearly. It is always a good idea to have a small isometric view, whether it is scale or not, in the top corner of your technical drawing, just so that they have reference as well as to what the final product should look like. In terms of layout, we will always have a border around our final technical drawings. This is a very, very useful tool, both for framing your product and exactly what you're drawing, to make sure that people don't think that there are missing views or anything like that you haven't included, and also for reference if you do have a really big page and need to reference a specific view. For example, here we have A and B 1 and 2. You might be referencing the small isometric view, so you might say in section B1, the isometric view says this, this and this. Obviously, as the page is bigger, you may have A through to J in much smaller blocks as well. You may have 1 through to 25, for example. For scale, it's also very dependent A on the size of your page and B the size of your product. So if you have a very small piece like this is, please note that these are in inches. This is a drawing that was done in America. So this is quite a small piece, so this may well just be an A4 page. You can have up to A1 page drawings, and that's perfectly fine. It just depends again on the size of your actual product and then how many views you need. On this product, we can tell exactly what this product looks like from just a front, top and side view. So we don't need anything further to that. If this was far more complex or had a hole which just went halfway through, you may want a section view, which means that you would have hatching, and that would also be a solid line, and this would also be a solid line, because that would show you just here. When you are doing a section view, you also want to have little signs like this, so that they can tell exactly where the section comes from, and you would label it as well with a section and then a number or letter. You may also have a small detail here, which is maybe just a surface piece, and you would then have a little thing like this labeled A, and that would be a detail view, where you would then have a view here showing it much bigger and clearer, and it would be labelled Detail A. Please note that you should always be drawing and writing in capital letters on technical drawings as well. Just keeps it nice and consistent and clear, and it is a standard thing for technical drawings. Your outer line of each drawing should always be the thickest line weight. So for example, we might have a line like this for an outline, then these inner lines, which you can see, which represent this length here, you're going to have this slightly lighter, so that they can see that this isn't an actual outline, but it is a defining line of your product. These hidden lines will also be in this weight, but broken, so just dash, dash, dash. Hidden lines are for features which are not on that front face of your product, but are an important feature just behind it. Then the lightest line weights are always for dimensions. So all of these here. That's just so that people can see very clearly that that is not part of your product whatsoever, and that they shouldn't be manufacturing anything with those crazy lines. Things can get confusing if you do use all the same line weights, so please keep this sort of stuff in mind. Okay, in terms of dimensioning, You can see on this product that there are dimensions absolutely everywhere. Whilst we do want to include all the dimensions that are important to our model, we do not want anything that is irrelevant or doubled up. So, as a general rule, we should always keep our dimensions along the left-hand side and the bottom of the drawings. This just A, keeps it consistent, B, makes sure that there isn't clutter all over the page, and you can see all of these labels and such. So we have 1 inch here, we have 1 inch over on the right hand side as well, so we can erase that there. It's irrelevant information. Also we have 0.5 inch as a measurement from here to here, but that also isn't even very clear. This represents exactly the same thing by just process of elimination of 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5, so we can get rid of that as well and avoid all that confusion. We also have this length here from the front. You can see that all these orthographic views will and should always line up perfectly across the page, just like so. So we don't need to include that a second time. That's again irrelevant information. And therefore this 750 here doesn't really need to be there either. It is actually clearer there though, so we might get rid of this one here, just like so. And then that 0.25 that's here is also irrelevant because process of elimination means that it is going to be 0.25. We also want to be bringing this measurement here down to the bottom, ideally. And this 0.25 also irrelevant in that spot. It is far better over here because you can actually see what it is measuring. That measurement there is actually this flat surface before the radius starts. There we go, so as you can see that is far clearer. Okay, in terms of radii, we do have 2 radii here that are exactly identical. So we can actually get rid of one of these, and that is all for dimensioning. Tolerances, I'm not going to actually cover here today, but you should always have A, if all tolerances in the entire product are the same, you should have it down here in a title block. Or B, if it is different, then you should always be referencing tolerances from the bottom origin of your product or drawing. In the title block, you want to always include A, the drawing number, B, your name, C, a date. You also want to just here have the version number, and you want the scale to be inside of that title block, not floating out in space. You should also have this symbol, the third angle projection, and there are other things as well which are quite important, especially if it's a part drawing, such as the material you want it made out of, the method maybe that you want it made out of. It just depends on your product. You can also include the page size as well, just in case you are sending it digitally and they need to print it off or just need to know for scale purposes. That's all that I have for this lesson today. I hope that was all very clear for you. Hope you enjoyed this. If you need to know anything else, please head over to the technical drawing module, which will have far more in-depth details of how you should be approaching technical drawing.